Were you guys jamming?
Were you guys jamming?
Did
you guys actually get the intro this week?
Were you jamming out to them funky beats? Them funky tunes? We don't get to hear the funky tunes. I have to sing them in the background while we watch the screenplay to no sound at all. Just dead silence. Who are you texting? No one wants to talk to you. Why are you talking to people? This is important. We're professionals. We're professionals. Is that a meme? Did you just send someone a meme during the Friday Bean?
Mm-hmm. It's someone who's cold texting me with job offers.
Oh.
So I sent them a very inappropriate meme and lots of very inappropriate texts. And I told them if they text me again, I'm going to add their number to a number registry so they get a bunch of scam calls.
You know what? They can talk to the boss, okay? They need to refer to your administrative department.
The boss.
Is the channel called Mark Moore?
No, but it works as a Mark Moore.
What's it say down here, you guys?
Look at this. I can make her quiet.
Okay.
I fixed it.
Do you love how we have that screen ready to go? That was so funny.
We fixed it.
Okay.
It got muted. That's funny.
He tried to make a point.
I swiped it down really fast. It must be a new automated feature because the mute button's here.
He's got a mixing board.
I wouldn't have heard it.
Happy Friday. We just wasted 3 minutes of your life. Welcome to the Friday Bean. Hey, if you're new here, if you came from the webinar yesterday, on the... Where's noise coming from? If you joined us from the webinar yesterday over on the Maker Circle app, give me a sign in the chat. Put put a heart emoji in the chat so I know.
Middle fingers up.
No, don't do that. Put a heart emoji in the chat. You're in a mood today. Quit talking.
I'm in a good mood today.
Put a heart in the chat so I know where you came from. If you're like, what webinar? Yesterday, I presented Brand Planet to the Maker Circle app. That is an app by Go Imagine, but even if you're not a Go Imagine seller, you can still join the app. There's an Etsy chat in there, a bunch of different community groups and chats. And that webinar replay is located in the guest archive tab. So you can go there right now, sign up, make an account, and go watch that webinar. Because we did that as a special event with Go Imagine. So feel free to check that out. But happy Friday. Today we're just hanging out. You know, I figured that with us having a lot of new subscribers, I saw a couple of you guys say that this is your first time hanging out. I noticed that if we go a couple, weeks or months with topic-based Friday Bean episodes, and then we answer questions at the end, we end up having way more questions than what we can answer. So every 2-ish months, we like doing more of like an AMA style thing. It's a open coaching session. You can ask us questions specific to your business. They can be general Etsy questions, SEO. I'm pretty decent with Instagram marketing. I can try to be helpful with other social media marketing. I can't promise you that I have all the answers. Pinterest is probably my weakest link when it comes to social media marketing. I mean, I
don't really mess with it.
I do. I post on Pinterest almost every day. I just don't try to.
You don't do the ins and outs.
Yeah, I don't dig into the guts of Pinterest very much. I saw the webinar was live. I just wasn't able to join at the time. That's okay. There should be
excuses.
Excuses. There should be a replay available. I could not see the webinar as the app is not available in the UK. Oh yeah. Because Go Imagine is a US company as of right now. Maybe I present that webinar every few years, so maybe we'll do another one. Let's see. Slowly getting my Listing shiny and nice for my new Go Imagine, and I'm pretty pleased with how things work so far. That's absolutely awesome. I abandoned Maker Circle months ago, but if Starlet is there now, I might have to go back. Follow me. I feel like I'm hanging out with a crowd of people that I don't know. There's quite a few faces that I recognize, but I never know what to say. I never know what to post. I'm always in there, but I'm a lurker. I'm scrolling through stuff trying to figure out. I'm trying to figure out what the atmosphere is. Excuses. Okay. Let's see. Is there anyone you would suggest for Pinterest? The one Pinterest gal, is it Lauren Kilgore is the Pinterest lady, right? Lauren Kilgore? Can anybody confirm that? Lauren Kilgore? She, I believe, is who we had do some Pinterest blogs and stuff for us over at eRank. I don't personally, I haven't gone through any of her stuff, but I know that a lot of people really like her, if that's the correct person. I know a lot of people like her for Pinterest related content. So I would definitely check her out. I'll just have to wait and see if somebody in the comments is like, yes, you are correct, Lauren Kilgore. Just Go Imagine reject shops that have a mix of POD and handmade, even if you only plan on listing your handmade items there. Well, you wouldn't be listing anything POD there to begin with. You would just, if you're doing the Etsy listings and moving them and integrating them over to Go Imagine, which you can do. I don't know how they would handle that with the POD stuff, but you can't sell POD on Go Imagine. You can work with a local printer to print products, locally, and then you bring those items to your house and ship them from your home. But one of the things, I actually read it in their policies a couple days ago, was that their standpoint is that if you have not touched the item, then it wouldn't qualify for handmade. So you have to have, touched that item, even if you are relying on external like printing services. So I can try to answer some Go Imagine questions, guys, but
we're not experts on the platform just yet.
Right. I just got off of a Marco Polo with John, their CEO, but I am planning on doing a video on Tuesday about Go Imagine. And in 1 week, we're going to have John here on the Friday Bean to answer these questions that I'm no good at answering because it's all new to me. And I'm going to ask him questions because I want to know stuff. Let's see.
I got you.
What is Go Imagine? Go Imagine is
what you tell your kid to do when they take their phone away.
Go Imagine.
Go Imagine.
Go Imagine. No, Go Imagine, it is a handmade and digital marketplace. So you can only sell there if you create handmade or digital products. It reminds me a lot of like what Etsy used to be. They have a lot of charities that they support. They're trying to keep everything very creator focused and artist focused. And I really like that because Etsy, I feel like they treat us more like Amazon employees, right? They don't like treat us like business owners, and they don't really focus on us as the people as much as they used to as the creators. And Go Imagine is trying to kind of, flip the switch on that. But it's currently only available to US sellers. And like I said, you have to be handmade or POD. And they're currently growing. So in the video that I'm doing Tuesday, I'm going to talk to you guys about the call that I had with their CEO where I interrogated him. I'm like, John, what is going to make people want to sell on this platform when it's not as big as Etsy and there aren't a lot of buyers yet? Like what should make someone want to even sell here? And he had a very convincing argument. I'm fully in support of Go Imagine now. Not saying that everyone should leave Etsy.
No, definitely not.
But having two, just in case something happens to your Etsy shop, which we know is happening to lots of Etsy shops, just in case you've got something, that way you can go into all your links on, your social media and swap them out. Hey, here's an alternative place to buy my stuff. I think that having the two working side by side is a very, very cool thing right now. Let's see.
No, I got it.
Oh, you got to scroll up a little ways. Mm-hmm. Okay.
There's Go Imagine reject shops that have a mix of. Oh, did you? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they're not. They asked. They're not going to be going to your Etsy to look at your Etsy to see what you sell there.
No, I don't. Like, do they look at other places your store is to judge your shop? No, I wouldn't think so. They're not, if you sell POD like in your Etsy shop, they're not going to care. They just want to make sure that what you're listing on Go Imagine is handmade.
How do I find the top 10% prices for a dragon pendant? Galactic Galleria. You have HAA.
Yeah, Michael, get your HAA.
Email me at support@handmadealphaacademy.com so we can get you back into your account if you don't remember what it is. But you have HAA.
Yeah, but I mean, if you need, okay, so real quick, because that's a good question that everybody would probably like the answer to. Finding the top 10% of your niche or whatever, you're selling. You can go to the keyword tool within eRank, type in that item. And if you do something like insane, like dragon pendant is perfect, or dragon necklace. But if you're searching for like green, emerald, gemstone, scale, dragon necklace, you're probably not going to get any good results. So think in general about what your item is. For example, this is from our shop. We're officially licensed, by the way, by Sarah Maas, but this is a, Court of Silver Flames themed tumbler with Cassian and Nesta's hands, but I might just say this is a Court of Thorns and Roses tumbler, or an Akatar tumbler. That's a general description of what this item is. Type that into the keyword tool and then scroll down the page and you'll see several little tabs. One of those tabs says SERP analysis. Click on SERP analysis and you'll be able to find common price points. Identify what the highest price point is that is most commonly, where your items are falling, and try to price around that top 10 margin, that top 10%. That way you aren't, trying to compete with all the sellers who are charging so little that they're not making any profit. So you want to try to seek out those top 10%.
What do you do with all the products that you buy as samples or for product photos?
Anna, you don't want to know. So I drink out of this one. My office.
I drink out of this one and a couple other ones.
Whatever I can't pawn off on family, which I'm about to the point where my family is like, yo, we've got too much. It's all just sitting in my office, because some of them, for example, like these tumblers, they've kind of changed. So now I've got all this stock that isn't even matching what customers would even receive now. I'm going to give some away. We've got one of our friends. She just finished the first Akatar book. So I'm going to give her, I'm going to try to offload some of it.
She'll get into it.
I don't want to ship it all. I could do giveaways and stuff.
A lot of it we've used, though.
That's true. We've used a lot of it. I need to find a home for that giant tapestry. It's literally, oh my God.
You ain't hanging it up here.
I'm going to find a bookstore or something to donate it to.
So would it count if I design the items and then have them printed? I buy the inventory shipped to myself.
I believe that their policies say that you can work with a local printer. This might be a question that you'll want to ask John.
Yeah, save those more specific Go Imagine questions for next week. We don't have the ins and outs for their stuff.
Yeah.
When is it coming to Canada?
Canada is their next plan, but they don't have plans for it yet, because they're still growing. He just bought the domain for Go Imagine in 2019, and right now they've been working on trying to get buyers, or not buyers, sellers. That way, because you got to have sellers before you can have buyers. So they've had to put all their advertising money into getting sellers. Mm-hmm. Now they're finally to the point where they have a good number. They've only got 6,000 sellers. That's so good. This is a great time to jump on that bandwagon because there's only 6,000 competitors there, and they're going to get bigger. But those early adopters, and even John said the shops that are doing the very best on Go Imagine, like the shops that are actually raking in a lot of money, are the ones who join first. So it's kind of just like with Etsy, all those sellers who have like hundreds of thousands of sales who joined Etsy back when Etsy started, because they were early adopters. And, because of that, they've got priority placement, and, they were able to rank higher in the algorithm. I got to see Go Imagine's algorithm. It is very, very, it's going to be easy to rank for. Let's just say that it's not going to be like Etsy where you, how does it work? It's very black and white and very simple. So accurately describing your product, again, is the best way to rank there. I don't know how I got all that out of the Canada question. I need coffee.
You like to rant on
we don't have that many
It's
questions
been a rough
yet.
couple days.
It has, man. It's been rough.
Having like the worst back swell up that I've ever had.
Yeah, it's bad.
Is Go Imagine coming to the UK anytime soon?
No.
So the thing is, growing pains, right? So like it's a smaller company, and when you start to look at the big picture of what it actually takes to do that kind of stuff, for one, compliance with GDPR, especially when you don't use something that's already like purpose built, that's, you know, friendly for GDPR, it's a lot to comply with. Not only that, taxes for, I mean, even just the US, he has to have the taxes for each individual state, let alone each individual country and regions and all the different, there's a lot that goes into that. I'm sure eventually as they grow, and I mean, you got to consider every single one of those is going to require a lawyer that specializes in that country being worked with. There's a lot to it. So I wouldn't expect it anytime soon. Hopefully if he can get to it in the next 5 years, again, I'm just pure speculation based on absolutely nothing, but
right,
it's going to be a while until he has the funds and the ability to do so. Right now, it's not even reasonable to ask him to do so.
Yeah, he's doing his best, you know, which, hey, at least someone is. Like, there's a lot about, you know, there's the artisan co-op, and there's a lot of different, you know, marketplaces. And in the UK, you guys have Folksy. What I like about Go Imagine though is that they're really like sticking to their guns with the integrity. In fact, they have a handmade integrity team that defines what, you know, they like all agree is handmade, and that's how they decide what's allowed. And I've never seen a platform that's so invested in just making sure that that the artists are happy. So that's why I am just really, really excited to see where they go.
If you do digital products that are suitable for kids and teens, Teachers Pay Teachers could also work for you.
And eRank has Teachers Pay Teachers data. Did you guys know that? We added that, I think last summer, I believe.
Process of deactivating and deleting everything except my handmade items with plans to move to them for my second shop. But in the last 4 days, 15 PODs puzzles were favorited, including 11 by one person. Advice, what do you do?
I don't really have advice, Robin. You've got people who are favoriting them, but favorites mean nothing to me. I mean, it's cool, but money is what speaks, right? You're either going to rip the Band-Aid off and do it, or maybe deactivate them all little by little. But really, you got to think about you and what your long-term goals are. Are you going to sit around and wait? It's almost like listing something on Facebook Marketplace and you've got like 100 people who are making an offer on a product, but you're just like, yo, whoever comes to my house with money is who gets it. You know what I mean? And no one is coming into your store with money. So are you going to wait around at home all day, like when you could be doing other things, waiting for someone to come buy this thing? Or are you going to move on with your ultimate goal? If your ultimate goal is to get rid of the POD products because you want to move into handmade, I would just say go for it. Right now is probably a good time to do it because we're in literally the middle of the Etsy slow season. We've got June and July and August when we start to see, you know, it pick up a little bit, and then September it picks up even more. October, that's when it's getting pretty busy. November is when it's at its busiest, and then we drop back down in December again. So yeah, I would say just go for it if it's what your goals are.
Thoughts on adding a value prop to the main thumbnail, like ships today or handmade? I think I read that a clean pick is best. Yeah, clean pick is best.
Yeah.
It gives it that eBay Chinese listing kind of vibe. Like I get it. There's a lot of non-handmade stuff on Etsy, and you really want people to know that it's handmade, but it comes off as trashy. It just does.
Nicole, I actually did see
Not always. I've seen it done tastefully, but most of the time.
Right. I saw your question posted in the student campus, and I purposefully didn't. I almost commented on it today, and I was like, no, she said that she's going to ask her in the bean. So I think that I've seen people who have done it in a way that isn't like visually offensive. You know, where your eyes are just like, ooh, yuck. If you've got some big red banner that's like ships free and some crazy, you know, bold, you know, impact font, yeah, it's kind of, it does get, if I'm looking at 2 items on Etsy, and I actually just did this recently, doing some shopping on Etsy. If I'm looking at 2 items and comparing them, and one of them has that big red, you know, funky, non-matching, incongruent thing, free shipping or on sale or whatever. I'm like, that's a permanent thing that you put on your image. Like, for one, I know that that's not Etsy. Like, I know that Etsy didn't put that on there. So if you make it match your brand, especially for digital sellers, you guys sometimes need to put things on your thumbnails, but I've seen many of you make it match your branding. You have it in colors that are light and airy, and they match the aesthetic of whatever your product is. I've seen it work, but I also see people who just make it look like what he said. It's like when you're scrolling on eBay and there's big red, ugly free shipping labels on everything. Like, if it ships free, for example, Etsy already puts that it ships free on there. If it's a bestseller, Etsy will say if it's a bestseller. If you tell me it's a bestseller, but it doesn't have a bestseller badge, then I'm like, is it though? You know what I mean? So I'm a big fan of clean thumbnails, and so is Etsy. Etsy prefers clean thumbnails. You never see anything featured by Etsy that has any of those big banners on them.
Oh, what do you think of Michael's Maker Place? Have you heard about them? We have heard about them.
It's another company that's owned by billionaires.
It's a company that's owned by a company that's owned by billionaires who owned investment firms.
Here's the thing.
I don't really want to support Michael's as much as I can.
No, it's Hobby Lobby that you don't want to.
Both of them,
right? Michael's isn't bad, but it's still a big company.
Well, Hobby Lobby, I definitely don't support.
But here's the thing. It's another place to sell, but if you think that they'll care about you more than Etsy will, they won't, because it's another big, it's another big marketplace.
It'll never be their priority. Their priority right now is just keeping their brand alive.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
my opinion is that, for one, a lot of Michael's target shoppers are creators.
Crafty people.
And crafty people can also be buyers, but I feel like it misses the mark a little bit.
Yeah, because you're selling to people who are already on Michael's to buy craft supplies. They're going to be I mean, it's not going to be everybody, but a lot of people are like, I could just make this myself with stuff I bought at Michael's, Like, it's not...
Yeah, I mean, if you want to try it. I haven't seen anybody who's had any impactful sales from it. I don't have an opinion on it because I've never used it. I've never shopped on it. I don't even know what the listing process looks like. I don't know what their fees look like. My opinion of most marketplaces is if they're corporate owned, expect to be treated,
corporate.
Right. Don't expect them to love you and cuddle you and care for you
all the stuff Etsy's been doing the last 5-10 years, where it just kind of gets a little bit yuckier and yuckier. Then they fix a couple of things to make it feel less yucky. It's just, that's what happens.
Yeah. Anyway, and keep in mind that you guys are asking for my opinion. I'm not speaking out of facts and absolutes.
No, these are opinions. We don't know anything about the Michael's Maker Place.
Right.
I know who owns it.
Yeah. I'm sharing my opinion as, someone who has been in this industry for a long time. My opinion is that you can sell anywhere, test anything. But I'm more apt to support, even if it wasn't Go Imagine, it would be something like, Artisan Co-op or something. I would rather, if we're going to support something new, then I want to actually support something new. And another corporate company that's owned primarily by shareholders, to me, isn't really new. Just like Amazon Handmade isn't really new. It's Amazon. Does that make sense? But that's my opinion. Yeah. You guys are free to form your own.
Trying to throw our eggs into baskets we think can be long-term success.
Exactly.
And Etsy's still a platform where long-term success can be achieved. And we believe that Go Imagine could be the same way eventually. Christina had also said, talking about the marks on the photos, I only recommend it if it helps you set apart from your competitors and supports communication. That's important. Be intentional. Don't just do it to do it. Etsy does say to avoid watermarks in their tips to be featured on Etsy.
Yes.
So that's a thought. And also Google doesn't allow for text in their Google ads, so it could affect your offsite ads having the images or having the text on your image.
Yes.
Okay. I've always been curious about what the best-selling type of product is on Etsy. Stickers, mugs, blah, blah, blah. I'm not sure if you know this answer. Nah, you can go, but that doesn't, search. But it doesn't matter. Don't aim for selling what sells the best. Sell what you're good at making.
Well, if you're a designer, I guess, if you're doing POD, trying to
I
decide what to
guess.
print on, the thing is, it's not about what item. It's never about what item sells the best.
And if it is the item selling the best, what makes you think you can compete?
That's true.
You know what I mean? Like that's why I always say don't aim for a product that's like obviously if something sells well, that's cool. But are you going to be able to create a product in that realm that competes with all of those people? And wouldn't it just be more beneficial to just stick with what you enjoy making
Yeah.
instead? That way, even if it doesn't go above and beyond, you still are enjoying and not getting nothing out of the process. If that does that make sense?
Yeah, it's think about less about what item sells more and think more about what niche. Your username is Anime Alchemist Cafe. So if you created we'll just assume non-copyright infringing anime style coffee themed items, maybe you create mugs because it's congruent with your niche, and you have cute little waifu coffee mugs, and that way people like Mark can sit while they're gaming and have their cute little waifu on their desk with them. And
Yeah.
it's not that mugs are a best-selling item, it's that people within your target market drink coffee and they also want a cute little waifu on their desk. Mark doesn't currently have any waifus.
I was looking around just to see all.
You don't have any waifus.
I don't have any
But-
waifus.
But, you know, that is more powerful to me than just seeing like, oh, shirts sell. Well, yeah, shirts sell. We all wear shirts. But the shirt that Mark is wearing with all the space and very cool and stuff is very different than a shirt that, you know, my grandma might wear. So don't focus so much on the type of item. Focus on your niche and what they need. I'm looking at your username and thinking coffee cups just because it fits with what you just kind of told me about yourself.
Yeah. Does it cost? I'm assuming there were a couple of people that are asking about the fees and the cost of selling on Go Imagine.
You guys got to bring those questions in 1 week.
He made a point while we were chatting with him that he tries to keep his fees lower than
$2
industry
for-
standard.
He's got a $2, so they have plans, and they've got a $2 plan to sell on the marketplace. I don't actually know what the fees are, but they have a $2 plan. I recommend the $10 plan, though. Here's why, and I'm gonna try to do like a coloring page shop because I'm a decent artist. I want to hand draw some officially licensed coloring pages from, you know, the book series that we're licensed by. But my thought is that with the $10 plan, you get a website, and Shopify's $40 a month for their like lowest base tier plan. With Go Imagine, you get a website for $10, so I could put that website and, you know, put it places. I could link it places and have my own like little storefront where no one can see competitors. It's just like my website. But my listings will be in the Go Imagine marketplace. So to me, it's more than I'm paying $10 to have a website. And my listings just happen to also be listed in a marketplace where they could be shopped for and found organically in search. And Go Imagine, apparently they rank on Google really well. Like the actual individual listings rank on Google Shopping very, very well. So I haven't personally experimented with that, but John showed me, you know, how easy it is to rank there. And it seems pretty easy.
Is it better to have one complex listing or to break out into multiple listings with more clarity using limited drop downs? I'm afraid to make the switch because it's my bestseller so far.
Well, don't change your bestseller, Megan.
No, definitely not.
Don't play with what works. Even if you change your strategy in the future, I wouldn't touch the thing that's doing well. I mean, which one's best? Your customers decide which is best. I personally, in my own shop, I've always been a fan of keeping things super duper simple, just because after reading the book, The Paradox of Choice by Barry Schwartz, I learned more about choice overload and how too many choices actually cause our brain to lock up and decide not to make a decision at all. So I'm a big fan of keeping things as simple as possible because my customers are trusting my expertise. So for example, with t-shirts, we found that within, you know, the bookish, book talk, bookstagram community, most of the people who were in my niche were women. And when I looked even further, they were all wearing trendy neutrals. They were wearing cream, they were wearing gray, they were wearing white, they were wearing, sometimes I see them in maroon, but it was all very like earth tone colors. So those are the colors that we gravitated towards. And my customers trust me to be the professional to decide, what a design would look good on. So I keep it simple. However, if I had a listing in my shop that was selling, I wouldn't touch it no matter how many variants were on there. I would let it sit.
As an Etsy seller and creator, what percentage of time did you divide making your items versus advertising them, compared to when you started to now? And the thing is, that's going to vary from industry to industry. If you're making like 10-foot custom wood tables with lacquer and all whatever else you put into it, it's going to take you like 50 hours to build versus 5 minutes to print out a sticker.
I was a handmade jewelry business, and
most of her time was advertising.
Yeah, but I worked in batches. So I would have usually a week or 2 weeks where I would sit and create as much as possible. And, there were times when I was working 10 to 12 hours just straight making jewelry. And then I would bounce over while, in between and do things on my computer. And then I would come back and work for a while. But now I do POD. So it's really hard to even give you a number. And like he said, if you're making, handmade coffee tables, that's going to be completely different than someone who cuts stickers. There's no real answer to this. My biggest piece of advice is to try to give yourself an even balance as much as possible. But, there are going to be days when you've got to make more stuff, and there's going to be days when you got to market more, or there's days when you've made all the stuff and you've got all day to market. It's completely user-based, and somebody who, for example, has a disability might have a completely different day than someone who has, no kids and is single and spends all their time on their shop versus, a single mom who has 5 kids and she can only work in intervals of like 3 minutes where she's got to run back and forth and check on the kids and work in her office and check on the kids and work on her office. So yeah, it's definitely different for everyone.
New on Etsy, just coming to the first 4 months. For the listings that I haven't sold in the first 4 months, when it expires, would you recommend relisting or creating new ones?
Well, it's really hard to tell because...
Sorry for all the coughing. My allergies are bad.
Oh, they've been bad. It's really hard to tell because I don't know what you sell. I don't know what your niche is. 4 months is not a long time. There's a lot...
Are you advertising off of Etsy, or are you just advertising on Etsy? Like, there's a lot that goes into that.
And not to mention, like, you've joined, if you joined 4 months ago, then you're in like the slowest season, and we're still in the slowest season, and we're going to be there till the holidays. I mean, if I was new, I would leave those listings up until November. And then maybe end of December after holiday time, I would start deciding what to get rid of or not relist, or even maybe it's not an issue with the items. Maybe, your photos suck, or maybe your SEO isn't great, or maybe you're doing nothing to advertise, or maybe there's something within your shop that's causing buyers not to trust you. I've got a video on my channel called How to Make Stubborn Listings Sell. I think that's what the thumbnail says. I don't think that's what the title is, but the thumbnail says How to Make Stubborn Listings Sell. It's from a couple months ago. I would recommend going and watching that video because I give you like every step that I would take before I touch the SEO of a listing to try to help it to sell. That way you can start to narrow down what the issue with the item is in case it's not the item itself.
And they had said you could potentially add a mystery box to your store saying the products are seconds. I do not believe Etsy allows mystery boxes. A lot of countries consider them gambling. You can thank video game loot boxes for that.
Yeah, I don't think you have to disclose
exactly what you're getting.
And you have to make everything that comes in that box. Right. If you're selling it like a bundle or a gift basket or a gift set, you have to disclose what's in it. I know a lot of people do it, but you're not allowed.
Now you can throw extras in there that aren't mentioned at all as just like bonus things you decided to give them. But you can't say, I'm going to give you a bonus thing. I'm not going to tell you what it is because that's still, again, a random lottery item. It's considered gambling in some countries. You can't do that.
Yeah.
I thought Go Imagine is only for handmade, no POD.
Yeah, it's only
You said
handmade.
in the beginning that they do handmade and POD.
No, I didn't. I said digital. Handmade and digital.
You said POD. You might have meant digital, but you said POD.
Oh, I don't remember ever saying that. I'm pretty sure I said digital.
Amber said, we're sending you a skeleton blanket if you could take photos with all your bones and creepy Halloween decor for lifestyle images. I'm going to take them and I'm going to be naked for every picture.
No, we'll send you cool pictures.
What's the best approach for contacting businesses for a press release?
You don't contact businesses for a press release. You go through a press release service. It's very expensive, and if it's not, then it's not worth it.
You can try to do it yourself. By contacting the news outlets directly, it's not worth the effort. These people have networks that are interconnected all over the world.
You can try. I would recommend... you can try reaching out to them. There's also sites where you can do free press releases. It's just... Are you wanting it for the logos so that you can have your as seen in section? Or are you wanting it specifically for the exposure? So it really just depends. If you just want it for the exposure and trying to reach new audiences, you could always just copy and paste and send an email out to a bunch of people. But if you want guaranteed exposure to, bigger news and media outlets, that's where the press releases come in. They are pretty expensive, but they always have decent results. Lucy, we actually, in the boot camp, last year's boot camp on day 5.
Can't access that right now.
Uh-huh.
Can't access it right now.
HAA students can.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Yeah. On day 5, you can go in there and there is a press release tutorial using Newswire. But again, it is quite expensive.
Are they planning on making an app?
You can imagine? They already do.
Yep. Do you have a referral code I can use to sign up for Go Imagine so I can give you credit?
I do not. I currently do not.
So like how the Daily Mail contacted you and your mom for a crochet. That just happens.
Yeah.
That's just virality.
Yeah, they contacted us on Facebook Messenger. That came out of nowhere. We didn't reach out to them.
I would like to compete in a very competitive keyword, and I can't narrow it down. Is it possible? Should I use the keyword on all my listings to try to compete, or is there another way? I'm going to try to clear my throat.
Yeah, you're fine. Competitive keywords, the thing is, you have to grow into it, and the best way you can grow into it is to keep on using it and stick with it. I like to think of those highly competitive keywords as the pair of like gold jeans that you keep in your dresser, and that they don't fit you right now, but you want to fit into them in the next few months, so you keep them. That's kind of how I see those highly competitive keywords, because you have to use them to ever be able to compete, and you're not going to compete with them right away. So for example, a couple years ago when I was still doing jewelry, I had been trying to rank for couples necklace. Obviously, that's a really hard term to rank for, but I had tons of couples necklace sets in my shop. So I was just persistent in the use of my term couples necklace in those listings that qualified. I started making a lot of sales of one of those particular sets. My listing quality score started going up and up and up. And finally, over time, I did end up ranking for couples necklace. And it took me a long time to get there, and I never thought that I would. So it really is about, repetition, making sure that those listings that you're trying to rank for are selling, because when they sell, that's obviously going to help them to rank higher. When they get good reviews, that's going to help them to rank higher. And it's really just kind of a game of balance, where I'll put in highly competitive keywords that I know I'm not going to rank for today, but maybe I'll rank for them someday. I'll have those in my listings, but then I'll also have the listings that are a little bit more defined. They're, more long tail keywords. They more accurately describe what my item is. They don't have as many searches, but the competition is lower. And that's where I know I'm going to more easily be able to compete, while hopefully someday striving to compete for that more, vague, but very, very competitive term. I hope that helps.
J348011, your feed keeps jumping around and pausing. I have 0 dropped frames, so it might be on your end.
Is anyone else experiencing that?
Yeah, if not, it's on YouTube's end, because we've had no issues. I have a question about match types. Does the Etsy algorithm use broad, phrase, and exact match? I realize that exact and phrase match are better working.
Yeah.
They do. Yes, they
Absolutely. Do. Exact matching is always going to, because
Yep, and the more terms that exact matches, the better.
Yeah, but they do broad match too, so you don't need to repeat the same words over and over and over again within your tags or your titles, because Etsy's going to be able to mix and match those in every possible combination. But if you've got, if you find two amazing terms
No, it is frozen right now.
Is it?
Streamlabs is.
Oh,
must be good then.
Okay, everybody says it's fine.
My computer's being goofy.
If you find two terms that are just too good to be true, I mean, every once in a while, I'll find two amazing terms that have like great searches, low competition, great clicks and click-through rate, and they'll both fit like what I'm selling. I'll use them both and I'll repeat a word in that instance just so I can get those two exact matches. But it's very unlikely that every keyword you research is going to be so good that you, like, for example, if you're selling wall art, it's very unlikely that like bird wall art, blue wall art, living room wall art, like none of those terms are so good that you couldn't just say, blue bird living room wall art, for example. I hope that helps. Is everything okay?
Yeah, I'm just killing unnecessary processes because Streamlabs is being stupid.
I never know if I'm actually talking to them or if something is broken.
That's how it works.
I know.
Streamlabs is completely frozen, though.
Oh, okay. Well, are we going to be able to end the stream when it's over?
Might just have to cold cut it, but yes.
Unplug it. Oh, well. If we disappear, let us know. You guys will be the
text in the chat as soon as we disappear, and we will know immediately. Okay. All right, this is kind of a hard one.
There's more up the top. You missed one above it.
Okay, yeah, I guess I did. What do you do with holiday listings? Should I keep renewing them, or do I deactivate and then relist?
That is completely up to you. So you never know when someone's going to order a holiday item. We tend to see people start searching for Christmas items as early as July. So you have two options. You can either deactivate them after the holiday. That way your shop looks clean. And you can relaunch them like brand new items when the holidays, that particular season comes back around. Or if it's not too much for you to continue paying that 20-cent fee, I mean, you can let them sit. It's not going to hurt your shop at all to have them in there. You just have to remember that there's nothing you're going to be able to do with your SEO for a Christmas listing in May that's going to make it sell. So just don't look at those listings and ask yourself, why aren't they selling? Like, why they're not selling. But because shoppers tend to buy at weird times, we just had someone in our group, Erin, she talked about selling a Christmas listing in May. You never know. So if it doesn't hurt you to leave them in your shop, I recommend going to your storefront, grabbing, clicking the rearrange button and just dragging them to the last page of your shop. That way they're not front and center. Because I don't know how I would feel if I went to a shop in May and all the Christmas listings were right at the top. I would feel like that seller hadn't been updating their shop very often.
All right, how specific should E-Rank Superstar keywords be? Go broad for the item, like LGBTQ apparel, or specific, like gay, bi, trans, NB, ace, thanks. With this, be honest with what you're selling. That's if it is an LGBTQ specific broad spectrum product, go with that. If it's a gay, bi, trans, NB, whatever specific product, go with that.
Yeah,
that's the best thing that you should do. Be honest with what you're advertising.
Your superstar keyword should be the keyword that most accurately describes exactly what your item is and what you want to be known for.
Especially when you're talking about an industry where people take disrespect very seriously. Having it properly labeled will not only get you better matches with people who are searching specifically for your product, but prevent any kind of negativity that could come. Obviously, when it comes to keywords, nobody can see that, so it doesn't.
Well, I mean, they're in your title.
In your title, but I'm talking about keywords, not your title.
Your tags.
Your tags. Yes. So again, just be specific.
Yeah. Whatever most accurately describes your products, that ideally has the best searches and lowest competition. That's what I would go for. Your superstar keyword is ultimately what you want to be known for, and apparel to me, that's a very vague term,
And in that specific industry, everybody has their own opinions on how things should be labeled and how things should be said. And if you just label them accurately, then nobody can be upset.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Is there a general guideline for when to create more categories? Every extra click is potential customer loss. That's true. Do most buyers just look at the all page, or do they click again when they see the drill downs? I would assume that they're likely just getting on there and scrolling through.
Do you mean, wait, Sharon, do you mean categories like in your left nav within
Yes.
your actual shop? I
I
mean,
would assume so. Where
like
else?
or like the attributes that you're filling out, or the, it sounds like you mean the actual shop sections. It's hard when people use different terminology than what
I
Etsy
know.
uses.
That's when it, with the stream stuff, Occam's razor it.
Categories are what we fill out when we're actually filling out our listings, and those have nothing to do with the customer. I'm assuming you mean shop sections. In that case, those are creating ease for shoppers, especially if you have a lot of listings. If I'm at a jewelry shop and I only want to look at necklaces, I don't want to see all your earrings, so I'm not going to go through the all. I'm going to navigate straight to the necklaces. You know what I mean? It's ease of shopping. And some people are going to look at the all tab. Some people are going to narrow that niche down, but you're not going to alienate the other, because the person who wants to see everything is just going to stay in everything. The person who wants to narrow their search down and only see the necklaces, for example, they're going to know to click necklaces and look at those specific items. I don't think that either of those things is going to alienate the other, though. I do think that having a lot of listings and your only shop section being all isn't the best idea, because, the shoppers who are looking for a very specific style or design or item, they're going to be looking for those sections in order to help them narrow down their path of search. It's an extra step, but it's like a voluntary step that they can take.
Can I have the same shop name for Etsy and Go Imagine? Why
Yeah.
not? It's yours.
Yeah, it's your business. It's your business, Those are just the land that you're renting to put your business on. But your business should have the same name if it's the same products.
If we have items that belong in more than one shop category, is it good to duplicate the listing so that there's one in each category it belongs to?
Etsy tells us that we can. They actually recommended it so that we could make a gift category to appeal to the gift mode. You can if you want to. There's no problem with it. My only issue with it is that if a customer's at your storefront, are they going to get confused if they see the same item listed more than once and they can't differentiate, why is this listed more than once? What's the difference between these two? You know what I mean?
What are your thoughts on starting to list September and Jewish New Year items? Sure.
I'm assuming September would be where your seasonal targeting would start. So right now, if you're trying to
3 months.
Yeah, I'm a 4-month ahead person. I recommend listing 4 months before the
June, July,
season.
August, September.
Yeah. So I would definitely get those listed if you're trying to stay 4 months ahead.
Okay, I started with one-of-a-kind jewelry, and I was advised to create kind of a production line. I'm doing that now. However, I still have many of the one-of-a-kind items. Can I list them on my Etsy shop? Yeah,
Absolutely.
We usually do recommend people that do one-of-a-kind have something that is repeatable and resellable. That way you have something that can build listing quality score.
Yeah, so the benefit here is that if you've got those one-of-a-kind items, think of it like, those items being the showcases of your shop. Maybe they're extra special to you. They're very, I would hope they're one of a kind because there's some level of complexity to them. I'm assuming that those are the items that you probably put a little bit more time into. Maybe you charge a little bit more for them. And then you've got those repeatable products that are more likely to rank in search because they can be purchased over and over again. People can leave positive reviews on them. They have higher listing quality scores. Now, I don't know about you guys, but when I'm shopping on Etsy, if I find an item that I like, I'll put that item in my cart, but then I'll always go to that storefront to see if there's anything that I like a little bit more. Is there anything I like more, or is there anything that goes with this thing that I'm buying, or is there anything else from this particular shop that I like? If they do that and they put that repeatable item in their cart and then they go to your storefront, maybe they start to see those one-of-a-kind items that otherwise wouldn't be ranking well in search because they're one of a kind and they don't have the ability to build listing quality scores. So you can absolutely have one of a kind product on Etsy. That's my jewelry business. My one of a kind pieces were the ones that I charged, $120 to $200 for, and they sold very, very quickly, even without that ranking power.
Is Michael's Maker Place suitable for digital products? I don't know.
I have no idea.
Again, we can't answer questions about it. We don't use it.
$40 for Shopify. Yeah, it's pretty up there.
$29 a month if you do a yearly payment.
Oh, okay. That's still $30. That's still pretty pricey.
Would you hate that? Would you consider a 3D printed item to be handmade? I'm assuming is what you meant. As I do 3D printing to order. Yes. I mean, technically it's no different than you sculpting something, right? You're still having to create a design.
Here's the thing. What we think
doesn't really matter.
What doesn't matter. We always say that.
Yeah.
I'm assuming that per Etsy's policies, you would be in the handmade category. What we think isn't relevant. I hate when we get the "what do you think" questions because
See, here's the thing.
Not that I hate your question.
How is what you're doing any different from somebody who sculpts wax and does a lost wax injection with a metal versus you sitting on a computer hand making a design in whatever 3D software you're using and then having it printed? How is that any different? So yeah, right. I would consider that a handmade product.
Right. We have tons of candle makers who buy molds that lots of other candle makers use, and they're hand making the candles.
Yeah. So it's that there's room for argument in every industry, whether something is handmade or not. You didn't cut that ring out of a solid block of silver. It's not handmade.
Right. Exactly.
That's stupid. That's a stupid argument. What other psychology books would you recommend?
Well, wouldn't you know, I've got my full library. Go to handmadealphaacademy.com. Right on our homepage for, my website, scroll down and there's a link to the Alpha library. It's a big Trello board where I have all the books that I recommend, and the ones that have a paw print on the image are my personal favorites. I'm a really big fan of The Paradox of Choice by Barry Schwartz. Obviously, everyone should have Predictably Irrational by Dan Ariely in their library. That's a must. I'm a big fan of How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie because that is a psychology book that was written in the 30s. And we didn't even have the brain science that we have today because a lot of the brain science that we have today, unfortunately, a lot of that, those discoveries that we made were because of Hitler. So just because, a lot of the medical experimentation that the Nazis were doing at the time, that's where a lot of brain development science came into play. But what I love about How to Win Friends and Influence People is you can read it knowing that it was written in the 30s, and then compare it to something like Predictably Irrational by Dan Ariely, or How We Decide by Jonah. I can't remember what
you can Google it. How You Decide, Jonah, and it'll come up.
How We Decide, Jonah. I can't remember what his last name is, but you can read those two books and then compare them to a book that was written in the 30s. And it's the same thing. It's just these, the modern books explain the why and the chemical breakdowns that define the behavior from the book that was written in the 30s. And it's really, really cool because it's like, wow, Dale Carnegie was such an insanely smart man. He didn't even know the why, but he still understood how the brain worked. So those are all really great recommendations. But again, check out that link on handmadealphaacademy.com if you scroll down and click on the Alpha library. The links to buy are all included as well.
Would you recommend running ads at the beginning to get traffic to your shop?
I mean,
if you want to.
It's a strategy. I've got a video on ads on my channel. I highly recommend going and checking out. My big piece of advice with ads is you never know what's going to work until you have a bestseller. Best sellers are the products that you should be advertising, because if they're already making money on their own, then what you're doing is you're paying to take your best items and show them to the most people possible. Like, that is what makes the most sense. I always have people who say, like, why would you put money behind the items that are already selling? I'm like, because they're already selling. You're taking the thing that you know is the very best and you're showing it to as many people as possible. It is more likely that you're going to make a return on your investment for those best sellers. When you're just starting out and you don't have any best sellers, it's fine. You can totally do that. It's a strategy. But it's like, it's like gambling. Just be careful. Understand that there is a limit to how successful you can be when it comes to gambling. You don't want to over gamble, and you don't want to go in the red. If you find that you're spending more money than what you're making, you probably need to change up your strategy. I'm very anti like going into the red for the sake of maintaining an ad budget, because some things just don't advertise well. And I'm definitely not one of those people who thinks that you should be advertising every single item in your shop. I'm very much more on the side of experimenting a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Is there a method to the flow of listings being posted? Is it best to post a couple a day, or does it even matter?
No, it doesn't matter. I like, in Handmade Alpha Academy, my Etsy training program, I'm a big fan of collection launches just because they're marketable. But if you're a new seller and you don't have, the social media presence, whatever you have that's ready to go, no one can buy it if it's not listed.
Yep, not selling if it's not listed.
Exactly. So it's best to just get the done stuff listed. You know what I mean? You don't need to list 100 items a day and all these crazy...
No, don't listen to anybody that tells you that you need 100 listings in your shop.
No, that you need 100 listings a day.
Or 100 listings in your shop. You don't, there is no necessary number of listings to have in your shop.
Yeah, I have seen that a lot, where you won't make sales until you have a minimum of this many listings. Just list what's done. There's no magic formula for listing your items.
Quality over quantity.
That's true. That is also true.
Does that mean you can't write free gift with purchase over X amount unless you show what that free gift is?
I don't know, because it's free.
We're cutting close to that gray line. I don't know.
We don't have answers for,
Etsy does not like you making people buy stuff that they don't know what they're getting. I would assume that probably falls under that rule too.
Yeah, that sounds like a Etsy question.
I would shoot with a question to their support and ask.
Now, I've done that with social media, where I've said, if you mention in your comments, if you mention Instagram, for example, like in your note when you complete your purchase, then I'll throw in a free gift, and I only advertise it like on Instagram. That might be a fun way to do it. And then the people on Instagram feel like they got like a special, thing that only they saw, but it's unadvertised in the Etsy shop. That might be an option.
I sat on vacation mode for 30 days after opening due to supply issues. Now that I've opened, it's very slow. I think my SEO and photos are good. Have I damaged my shop with vacation mode?
No, vacation mode. Here's the thing. Okay, there's a lot of layers to this. Let me start with the vacation mode, and then I'm going to work outward. Vacation mode doesn't hurt your shop. Anytime a listing is not active for someone to engage with, because listings rank in search based on how people interact with those listings. So if you had those listings, deactivated, or if you're on vacation mode, or if a listing is sold out, it's all the same scenario. That listing is not available for people to click around on and interact with. And therefore, Etsy isn't going to rank those listings as high. So the other part, though, is that you can't expect crazy traffic right now, unfortunately, if you're just, if your only traffic source is Etsy SEO, because Etsy themselves right now, they don't have a lot of traffic. Etsy sales are down. Etsy GMS is down, gross merchandise sales. Etsy just said in their Q1 investors report that Q2 is also going to be slow. We're all fishing from the same overfished pond right now. There's a lot of competition. And unfortunately, until August, September, when people start to think about the holiday season, we're not going to see a lot of traffic, and it really, really sucks. But this is the natural ebb and flow of Etsy. So I definitely wouldn't go in and try to change a bunch of stuff within your listings. And you haven't damaged your shop. It sounds kind of like you're reading the chicken bones a little bit. Basically, you're assuming that it's a cause and effect thing, but that's really not the case. It's just a really, really bad season. Not to mention, the economy's bad right now. There's not a lot of people spending money, especially in the summer when more people are outside. They're not sitting in front of their computers. They are on social media, though. That's one thing that I talk about in my slow sales video that I posted 2 weeks ago. They're still on social media, and even if they're on a sunny beach somewhere, they're still posting photos of themselves on Instagram or, wherever. That's why I'm a big fan during the summer of really buckling down on that social media strategy. And for those who are new here, in terms of like the SEO side and the social media side, because those are the best flows of traffic that you can get, external and internal, I have my free Etsy SEOodles toolbox down below. So that's going to teach you the step-by-step with the Etsy SEO, but it's also going to teach you how Etsy's algorithm works. And I've also got the free 30-day Instagram challenge kit. This is the best possible time to start the 30-day Instagram challenge kit because it's going to give you so much to, keep not just keep you busy, because obviously it's not like busy work, but it's going to keep you busy at a time when everything else is slow, so that you're better prioritizing your time on something that's actually going to help you, which is growing your social media audience, helping to build that overall awareness of your product. And even in the event that those people don't immediately run to your shop, those are people that are going to get familiar with your brand over the next few months, watching you post, seeing the types of reels that you post, seeing the type of images that you post. And the more that they start to see your brand and build those positive associations, the more likely it is that come holiday time, those will be the people who actually decide to shop from you for their family members for the holidays. So I'm a huge fan of using the summer to kind of buff up those social media numbers so that you can have a better holiday season. And since we've got a minute, before we move on to the next question, Mike will handle yours. Mike Jones, one of my best friends in high school, his name was Mike Jones.
You said that like they were supposed to know that.
I know. Well, I saw it and I was just like, because anytime I saw Mike Jones in the hallway, we all went, Mike Jones. But anyway, so Handmade Alpha Academy, that's opening on June 14th. You can go to joinhaa.com if you want to learn more about it. If you have questions about it, I would love to answer those live. I hate emails. Stick a wolf emoji next to your question. You can just search for wolf in the emoji bar. It should pop up, or do a dog or a fox or something, close if you can't find it. But that is my 9-module self-paced Etsy coaching program. That is going to cover not just like how to sell on Etsy, but it's going to build you on an entire foundation of, your social media marketing, your email list marketing, which will teach you exactly how to do that if you're super confused about all that. We're going to teach you how to create this synergy within your entire brand so that you always know what you're supposed to be doing at every single point in your business, when you should release new products, when you should market products, what products you should be marketing, what type of emails should you be sending, when should you start promoting the products that you haven't released yet. I'm probably not going to do it justice right now just because my mind is boggled and I'm exhausted after yesterday's webinar, but check out joinhaa.com. We're only opening the doors for enrollment from June 14th through the 24th because it's just Mark and I. We can't keep it open all the time. We've already got, 1,200 students. But if you have any questions about it, please stick those in the chat for me because I would, like I said, I'd much rather answer them live.
Okay.
Have you heard of any plans of Etsy to enable their ads platform to keyword target / set bid rates similar to Google ads rather than on-off? No, I've not heard anything.
Etsy, the thing with Etsy's ads is they don't tell us anything. And that's kind of why I'm always very, very wary of Etsy's ad. The algorithm is completely separate than the normal search algorithm. They really don't disclose a whole lot when it comes to ads. So I would find it very surprising if they ever made any. I mean, I'm sure they'll make changes, but if they make changes that are so significant that they're going to actually be changes that we can control or that they'll even announce publicly. I'm sure they're constantly tinkering behind the scenes.
I have a printable shop and I'm trying to get on board with Etsy's gift emphasis. Was going to duplicate several listings that are giftable, copy them and put them in a gift section. Is this okay to do? Etsy says it is.
Yeah, Etsy says that you can do that.
Will your deactivated item lose its stats and come back to activated as a new product and lose all of its views and ranking scores? As far as we understand, no. It keeps everything that it's used in the past.
Yeah,
I would assume that over time, if it hasn't sold in like say you've had a listing just kind of chill in there for like 2 years, it's probably not going to be the same as a new listing or an old listing, but its original sales probably won't have a whole lot of weight. We don't have the exact algorithm, and if we did, you would all have #1 list sellers.
Well, Brittany, when you deactivate a listing, the longer it, like if it was deactivated for a day, no biggie. You know, that's not a lot of time that people weren't able to interact with that listing. It's all about how people can interact, you know, click it, favorite it, buy it, leave reviews on it. Those are the things that send positive signals. You know, finding a listing organically in search. If they search for a keyword and find that listing in search, that tells Etsy that that item, you know, is something that they were looking for. If they favorite that item, hey, they made a search, they found this item, connected with this search, you know, and they positively interacted with it. That means that what they searched for is the item that they found. That is a good connection. That can, you know, probably help the listing quality score. Etsy says it does. But the two things that I care most about that help listing quality scores the most are getting sales of that item, preferably repeat sales of that item, and reviews of that item. And when that item is deactivated or sold out or whatever it might be, the longer that that item is sitting, you know, behind the scenes, inaccessible, that's more time that people aren't able to click on it and engage with it and favorite it and find it and search and buy it and review it. And yes, that listing's rank will start to fall. I see it like this. When you reactivate that listing, let's assume that it was inactive for a couple months. The listing quality score still exists. Everything still exists. The reviews still exist for the listing. It's still the same item as long as you haven't like made a copy of it and created a new listing. It's still the exact same listing, but it's asleep. That's how I like to see it. It hasn't been engaged with in a long time and it's fallen asleep. You just have to wake it up. My recommendation for waking it up is, this is where the social media comes in. Promote the hell out of that listing that's been asleep. That way you're driving direct traffic to that listing. So maybe you do social media and people on social media are coming to it and, you know, checking it out and hopefully buying it. Maybe you run a sale on it. I would run a sale on it and promote that sale on social so that hopefully you get a little bit of that engagement on that listing. That's going to wake it up. That's going to hopefully, you know, those sales and future reviews will, you know, help to resume its placement. That's always been my strategy though, is taking that item that's been inactive for a long time, putting it on sale for a limited time, promoting the heck out of it on my social media accounts and trying to kind of buff it up. I hope that helps.
Can Etsy do bundle discounts on certain collections or categories? I know you can do quantity bundles, but I need different listings to be added to a bundle, like buy 3 decals, get 15.
No.
As of right now, no, but I really wish they would.
Yeah, that was one that I always wanted a long time ago, back when I was doing handmade, but it was never possible.
Hello. Should our superstar keyword be at the beginning of our title?
As long as it what should be at the beginning of your title should be the word that most accurately defines what your item is.
It's like the first, 7 words, 9 words, something like that?
It's characters. It's the first 20 something characters. I can't remember. I can never remember. That little snippet that displays on an Etsy search page, it should tell what your item is. You know, it should also be a strong keyword, but that little snippet is what your buyers are going to see. There's no... In terms of like where should certain keywords be in your title, I know a long time ago people thought that putting your best keywords at the front of your title like gave them more juice or something, like they would rank higher if your best keywords were in the front. It has nothing to do with ranking. The algorithm does not care where those items or where those keywords are in your title. It's about what the buyers see while they're scrolling a search page. So that teeny tiny little snippet there should define exactly what your item is. That way there's no confusion on that search page.
I have a second shop I haven't touched in a while. Would it be better to start from scratch with a new shop or try to revive the old one? It doesn't have any sales and only a few listings.
Just
love the profile picture, by the way. Worship.
Just revive the old one. There's no reason, there's no benefit to starting a new one. We actually even did a survey of 100 people who had recently made purchases on Etsy over at eRank to ask them if the age of a shop mattered, or if, you know, the date that a shop was created mattered to them in terms of, you know, their perceptions and if they were willing to buy from that shop. And most people said that they didn't care. It's not really something that shoppers are looking at. So revive the shop you have for that reason, and because Etsy's deactivating most new shops. They're just suspending them immediately. Etsy's made it very clear that they don't need a lot of new sellers right now. So I would just fix what you got, especially if it's open and running.
And this person had said they're looking to get in on the next critique that we do. We will be doing critique week, not next week, right?
No.
This week? No, this week. Yeah.
And we still, yeah, we're trying to figure out what to do on the 17th.
Yeah, we have a quite large rave show that we're going to on the 16th, but we're likely starting on the 17th. We'll be starting our critique week. We always do it during the HA launch, form of advertising, and it gets you guys in and excited. We'll probably be alternating the times, so starting later in the day on Monday and Wednesday. If nobody ends up showing up to the one on Monday, we might just do the later one just on Monday. We won't be getting back into town until probably like 2-3 in the afternoon. So
yeah. So
but every other day will be at noon.
Yeah, so critique week the 17th through the 21st of June.
Yeah.
Every day.
Every day.
Every day.
Does the use of attributes in Etsy listings help that much? I've been using them, but wonder if they might be limiting me.
They don't limit you. They can only help you. But you want to make sure that you're only filling out the attributes that apply to you. So for example, the attribute that most people get wrong is the holiday attribute, because they feel like they need to fill out all of their attributes. Only fill out the ones that apply. So for example, if you have, you know, a mug with a cat on it, don't put a Christmas attribute on that cat mug just because you think it would make a good Christmas gift.
Nope.
That attribute is for Christmas items. So if the cat has a Santa hat on, sure, stick the Christmas attribute on it. Attributes that don't apply, if you leave them blank, it has no negative effect on you. They only help for shoppers who are being very specific with their searches, but you want to make sure that those attributes actually apply to what you're selling.
Hi, Pam.
Hi, Pam.
If you, that was just an addition to the question that they had already asked. What do you think about changing your section names to gifts for animal lovers, gifts for children, etc.? If they qualify as that, why not?
I don't have an opinion on it.
With everything else in the shop, I prefer everything just to be an accurate description of what the item is.
Yeah,
so if it's intended as a gift for a kid, then why not?
If you're asking for algorithmic purposes, I don't think that changing your shop sections to have gift for whatever is going to have
I don't know.
I don't think it's going to have a huge impact. But hey, you know, experiment with anything.
Okay. I have a scarf that can be styled in 2 different ways. Is it okay to use a split pic for the thumbnail to show both options up front, or should I just show the one? Like showing it too.
Experiment.
I mean, does it look okay? Honestly, it's probably best to just show the one and then have the other pic available.
Yeah.
That was just an addition to another question that was already asked.
Oh, okay. Yeah. You know what? Test it out. See how make a duplicate of the listing and do one with just one photo as the thumbnail and do one as the split. See which one gets the most attention. I can't tell you how your customers are going to interact with it, but it's always worth testing.
Yeah. I know time to make the first sale is highly varied, but how long should I wait before wondering if I should adjust things like pics and SEO?
I'm a big fan of waiting at least 4 months. 4 months to me, which is how long, your listing will go before it renews. I think that 4 months is a good period of time to decide if maybe there's something else going on, but I would never start with changing your SEO. I'm always a big fan of starting with things like your photos, and your photos might look good to you, but they just might not look good in comparison to what all of your competitors are offering. Again, I've got a video on my channel called something like how to make your stubborn listing sell or something like that. Check that out because it kind of goes through that order of operations that I personally recommend taking those steps to decide what might actually be going on with your listing. And it's like, you change this one thing, see if it worked. Okay, if that doesn't work, then maybe it's this thing. But I give it to you in the order of importance.
When you list products 4 months ahead and for the next season, do you start advertising then on social, or do you wait till closer to the season when people are actually looking for those products?
That's completely up to you. I think that it just depends on how your audience, perceives them, and your niche in your industry. For example, if you're selling to people who make crafts, they're going to expect to see things like Christmas items soon because they're going to need to buy those items ahead so that they can make their own crafts in time for Christmas, So it completely depends on your industry. I typically start to see people take interest in fall items around, August. That's about when we start see everybody, switch over into Halloween mode. And then immediately after Halloween, they seem to be in Christmas mode. So I would just start looking at what your competitors are doing or look at what big brands are doing. If you have a big brand that's kind of niche adjacent to you. So for example, if you sell home decor, when are big home decor brands advertising their holiday lines? Like Pottery Barn, for example. When is Pottery Barn starting to advertise Halloween items? Or when is Pottery Barn beginning to advertise their Christmas line?
Right.
And then I would make sure that you're starting to advertise around the same time.
I'm new to Etsy as a seller. My sales have plummeted this month. Can you talk me through the yearly peaks and troughs of Etsy so I know what to expect?
Well, it changes for everybody. If you sell bikinis, it's a great season for you. So right now is the summer stall. It's when things are slow. I have a video on this, by the way. If you go back to Etsy's about to suck, or Etsy's going to suck this summer, that thumbnail, I covered that in that video. But we tend to see the period of, I dare say May, after Mother's Day to July being the deadest, just because people are spending more time outside. Even big major social media marketing sites are all going to tell you that social media marketing is the best way to drive traffic because people just aren't as invested in online shopping, and e-commerce as a whole kind of suffers. And then we tend to start to see things pick up around August. September, they do a little better. October, they do even better. November, they do fantastic. December, you get those last minute shoppers, and then things drop off in January. Then maybe you'll see a little bit of traffic for Valentine's Day, just depending on what type of business you have. Maybe you see sales for Mother's Day. Maybe you see sales for Father's Day. But that spring to summer period in most industries is going to be slower. And if you're in one of those niches that, you see more sales in the summer, that's awesome. Super duper cool. I know I always have a lot of people that are like, it's my best season. And I'm like, that's great. That's awesome. I'm very happy. But unfortunately, for most industries, it's just not the case.
Most of my items are one-of-a-kind purses. They're
Okay.
all the same styles, but slightly different fabric prints. Would it be a good idea to activate a sold listing and then switch out photos to the new purse?
Etsy doesn't like it when we do that.
And customers won't necessarily like it either if they favorited an item and they come back to their favorites and it's a completely different thing that they in no way would have favorited.
Yeah, that's why Etsy doesn't want you to do it. I always tell the story of a bracelet that I favorited a bracelet once, and I went back into my favorites, and the bracelet was gone, but it was now nipple rings, and I'm like, I did not favorite these. No, not that I. Oh yeah, I'm getting them for you.
Wearing them now.
I'm getting them for you, baby. But it's that's why Etsy doesn't want us to do it. So I would say probably not. It would probably be better for you to, list those items individually. I heard the 100 listings rumor when I was starting out, and now I have 100 listings.
I mean, it's okay to have 100 listings, but it's not a necessity. And anybody that says that it is doesn't know what they're talking about.
Yeah, I've got several shops that I follow that they've got like 2 or 3 amazing listings.
Somebody commented earlier and said they have like 30-something listings and they're a 6-figure shop.
That's awesome.
If you have products in your shop that have strong keywords that eRank says is popular, do you think those would be good to advertise since people are already using those keywords?
You could.
Excuse me.
Yeah, I mean, you could experiment with it. I would experiment with it maybe. Especially if you don't have bestsellers. Do you mean like advertise, like put ad money behind, or do you just mean like social media promoting? If you mean ad money and you don't have any other bestsellers and you really want to advertise but you don't know where to start, sure, that would be fine.
Should I be concerned about having too many POD products in my Etsy shop? I'm only using the mock-ups from Printful and Printify. Is there a number at which it raises flags for Etsy? I doubt it. I mean, if you're legitimately being one of those people who's uploading like 20, 30, 40, 50 listings a day, maybe. I mean, I would imagine Etsy would probably scrutinize shops that pop up and have 1,000 listings by the end of their first month.
We critiqued her. She's the one with the cute little doodle art.
But I don't think there's a number in which they're
no.
No. I mean, hyperactivity in a shop I could see, but again, that's speculation. But I don't think there's any particular number.
Yeah. I don't think that there's any correlation, and if there is, it's nothing that we've heard. Is there someone at the door?
I'm making sure.
Okay.
If my camera will work. You can go ahead and move on to the next question, though.
That's fine. My niche is itty bitty. That was my dog's name. And my sales are up and I'm doing well. I know my SEO isn't the best, but I think I just lack enough terms because it's such a small niche. Would E-rank still be useful to me? Absolutely. And don't just think about a million ways to describe what your item is, Carla.
So long, guy.
Think about who it could be for. Think about the style it could be for. Think about the occasion it could be for. And it doesn't need to be like, for example, like girl's birthday. It could be, teenage girl's birthday. I know that gift for boyfriend and gift for girlfriend are very popular terms. A couple months ago, gift for social worker was a really popular term. So try to think about who your item could be for, especially in those really niche areas, because that likely means that the target audience is also niche, and see if you could try to tap into some of those keywords as well.
Don't touch mouse.
Did you say not to touch?
I said don't touch the mouse.
I love how I just was like, okay.
Was this it? The one you just...
Yeah. Oh, look at all. Everybody loving AJ.
There's somebody at my door, me looking at my own door. That's totally normal. We keep outside cameras because we're YouTubers.
And paranoid.
And paranoid.
Yeah. Never know.
I literally just had a kid dressed up as a crackhead come and play Ding Dong Ditch at like 1 o'clock in the morning, like 2 months ago.
I love how his first reaction, he looked at our security camera in the middle of the night.
It was a teenage kid, but he had his t-shirt completely draped over his face and head. And my first thought, we're close to Dayton and Huber Heights and all these other places where there's lots of crackheads. So my first thought was, it's a crackhead. So
he runs up the steps. And
my buddy was up the stairs before I could even get off the couch.
But it was
like ready to throw down.
It was a kid playing senior pranks. It was funny. We laughed.
Yep.
Okay.
I have a new listing for glasses chains. It's been 2 weeks and got 41 views and 18 hearts, but no sales. What could be stopping people from buying? We have no way of answering that question.
Yeah. Again, I'll go check out my video that is called How to Make Stubborn Listings Sell. There's no way for me to know. There's no way for you to know. Don't get so caught up on the views and the hearts. 41 views, I mean, that's decent, but it could be your pricing, it could be your photos, it could be the details, it could be from where you're shipping from. There's just too many factors that could be contributing, but that video should help you to kind of narrow it down.
When do trends get released for Etsy, and where can I eventually find them for the autumn and winter seasons?
They usually email you, whatever email address you have linked to your Etsy account, but we will release our trend report right when Etsy releases their trends. So I always, keep an eye on my email. That way here on YouTube during the Friday Bean, we go through and we analyze those trends and kind of give ideas for them. I'm not sure how far in advance they do. I'm assuming that they'll probably release their autumn trends in August.
What is a good number of color choices for a listing? This is the person that did the 3D printing. I don't really think there's a good number of choices. You do 3D printing stuff, so people are going to want things themed like in whatever their setup is. So if it's not something you're printing in multiple colors, primary colors, get the most common colors in there that people would want.
Yeah.
Red, green, blue, white. And then
Black.
if you want to, yeah, black. And if you wanted to, then you could add in some more secondary colors, oranges, yellows. Pink might be one you want to add if you think it's a color that people would like on that product.
Yeah. I think
Otherwise, keep it just around whatever you're printing.
right. Yeah. What specifically are you 3D printing? You know, it completely depends. You're thinking like PC type setups and things.
I'm thinking of anything,
home decor. Oh, yeah.
anything like 3D printed. Like this looks cool in green and blue. I wouldn't necessarily like this in yellow and orange. However, some people like Asian dragons. There's a lot of yellow and orange in Asian dragons. They might want that color combination. Print in the primary colors first and then add secondary colors later if you get requests for it. I mean, really.
It's all about experimenting with most things.
Just playing around. Just hanging around. Would you consider rebranding H.A. Wolf around my husky mix? He's a really good boy and makes a great dog. I'm glad he's a really good boy, but no, it's a wolf.
It's a wolf.
How much is the course?
It is $997 or 6 payments of $199 per month for 6 months. If you pay off your plan in full by September 1st, Mark will cut off your final month's payment, assuming that you're on the payment plan. That enrollment includes 12 months of eRank Pro, so that's already $120 that you're saving. You get the Product Photography Essentials Workshop by Coach Christina Nicole. That's a course all by itself that you get with my course. That's normally $200, right, Christina? $197. You get a hair on your finger. You get... I don't know where that came from. You get annual access to our Alpha Holiday Boot Camp. That's upwards of around $120 a year that you would normally have to pay to access those. But you get lifetime tickets to that every single year. And you get a bunch of other bonuses too. You get the ad fuel bonus. We're working, John at Go Imagine is creating a Go Imagine bonus. And HAA students, you guys are going to get a month, 2 months free Go Imagine subscriptions. And all HAA students from the past, you get it too. And if you already have a Go Imagine account, I think that it'll apply to your, like you can, you know, it'll just take your bill off for 2 months. But you get that. You get Email Marketing Magic by Coach Jacqueline at the Wicked Griffin. She's a handmade pagan jewelry artist, and she has a email marketing templates that you get that can help you with the module 5 portion of Handmade Alpha Academy, which is our advertising module. You can email me at any time with questions when you're a student. You get access to our student campus. You get a bunch of stuff. If you have any questions about any of those specific things, feel free to let me know.
All right. This one's kind of a hard one. Is having politically themed products toxic for a shop? Can it be a disincentive to customers? Okay. Couple things here. For one, know your target audience. If most of your sales are going to California, probably shouldn't have a bunch of red themed products in your shop. If most of your products are going somewhere like Texas, the way around, probably shouldn't have a lot of blue themed products in your shop. Remember, anything you put in your shop that somebody sees is going to be associated with your shop, your personality, and you as a person from there on out in that person's eyes. So, and I know we just had the thing yesterday, please no politics in the chat. I know there's going to be a lot of people making products and things themed around what's happening, and especially in the American political world right now.
Keep in mind that presidents are people, and that's IP. That's IP. You can't make anything about people. That's IP. It regardless of who.
Unless your shop is a political or meme shop, I wouldn't touch it with a 10-foot pole.
Right.
I really wouldn't. You never know how things are gonna go. Regardless of what side of the spectrum you're on, things could go down a bat crazy road, and then you look not great. So
right, you never know. And it's the same, politics, religion. There's a reason that you'll never know mine and Mark's either. You won't know those things because they're not relevant to our business. And it's the same with you guys. Those things, if they aren't a part of your business and you aren't a political themed business, it's something that you don't need to make a part of your business. Does that make sense? I think it really just depends on what your niche is. And if your niche is something completely different, if your niche is like coffee, then it's not relevant. You know what I mean? Somebody had asked something about HAA. Should HAA students who are signed up for the Go Imagine email you for the next month? No, just wait until John finishes that bonus and he will.
Yeah.
I don't even know how it's going to work yet. So
yeah, it's still drawing board.
yeah, I will make sure that you guys get the email though, because he's still building that bonus right now. That's what we just talked about today.
Let me go back through the questions. I know there's another HA question here. Somebody asked us what door cameras we use. I use the Google wireless ones, the ones that don't have to be permanently installed, that just use the magnetic thing. They're great. I think they're $150 a piece or $180, but you can get a bundle of 2 for $300. They're free to use. However, it only stores a very small amount of information. I want to say it's like $8.99 a month for unlimited hard drive space. I love it. Anytime you can set up like recognition of faces, anytime somebody's in the kitchen where we have our other camera, it'll tell me exactly who was seen. You can set it up for animals, cars, lots of different stuff. And it pops up a notification on my phone the second somebody's on my camera. So
We have a couple HAA questions at the bottom.
yeah, I know.
We are towards the end, guys. I know we had a lot of questions we didn't get to today, but I've still got to record my video. I've got a video coming out on Tuesday that's going to talk about Go Imagine. We're going to get, into some of the things that I learned when I went into that interview with John. I want to make sure that everybody's aware that, like, I'm not getting paid by Go Imagine. I'm not a sponsor. I won't even accept sponsorship deals. That's why you guys don't get, like, paid advertising sessions where I'm trying to sell you stuff. I already make money on YouTube monetization.
The only monetization we have is the one YouTube provides.
Right. So in that video, I try to be as unbiased as possible, but John convinced me. So now I'm going to tell you everything he told me and what convinced me that Go Imagine is awesome. So just keep an eye out for that Tuesday, and then he'll be here this upcoming Friday to answer any questions that we couldn't answer. But for now, because HAA is about to open, we're going to focus on making sure that those of you that have Handmade Alpha Academy questions are able to get those in. If you have any more, feel free to stick them in the chat with the wolf emoji. That way we don't miss them.
Yeah, we only have 2 as of right now, so you'll need to get them in quick if you want them.
Okay.
I know HAA is more geared towards Etsy. Does it help for people that want to have both an Etsy and a standalone online shop?
Yes, absolutely. Because, the things that you're going to be learning foundationally, especially when it comes to brand psychology and consumer behavior. Obviously, Etsy is currently the undertone of Handmade Alpha Academy. Now, in 2025, I am planning like a restructure of HAA where it will be suitable for sellers no matter where you're selling online. Right now, it's very much an Etsy-focused program just because I repeat Etsy throughout it. The Etsy SEO strategy, obviously, that's not going to be applicable. I mean, it kind of applies to Go Imagine, though, because their algorithm is pretty similar. But most other things are not going to, the SEO part isn't going to translate to Shopify, for example, because Google SEO is very different. So I don't advertise it as being anything other than an Etsy program as of right now. But if you sell on Etsy and you're also selling on other platforms, everything that you learn in terms of brand psychology, marketing, the psychological triggers and things that you're going to be learning, the marketing timeline that you're going to be following, all of that is going to apply to anywhere that your brand touches.
Yep.
Because you're building your brand, not just an Etsy shop. You're building your brand as a whole, and it's all universal concepts that are based on human psychology, which, that's not anecdotal. That's not I made this many sales in my Etsy shop, therefore it'll apply to you.
Yeah, we don't do that.
Right. So,
not to mention the fact that like only a small portion of the videos are Etsy specific. For the majority of stuff, you could just replace the word Etsy with anything else.
Other than the SEO lesson.
Other than the SEO. However, that's still, basis. We will be working, hopefully, over the next year at most to change the terminology and make it a little less Etsy specific. That way it's geared towards everyone.
No, but all the Etsy stuff that's in there, we're not removing anything.
We're not removing anything. It might get repositioned somewhere, but it'll still be there. It'll still be available, and it'll still be 100%.
Updated.
Yeah,
right.
It'll be updated. Just like everything.
It'll be Etsy as well as wherever else.
But the general theme hopefully will be just selling as a small business owner, regardless of where you are.
Yeah, with a focus obviously being on, handmade and probably POD because, our artists rely on it. So I hope that makes sense though.
Okay. So viewer for 2+ years. We actually really appreciate you guys. We're
Oh,
almost
absolutely.
to that 100K subscriber mark. We're like right there.
I'm so
I'm hoping by the end of the year. If not, it'll be just after the end of the year. Niche is small and I don't sell for holidays.
Okay.
Would the course still help me?
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. That
absolutely.
If your question is, I sell this, I do this, is it for me? The chances are 99.99% of you, the answer is yes.
There's no lesson on SEO for tiny niches. The strategy doesn't change.
Your product doesn't really matter unless you sell one of a kind.
Yeah, the strategy itself, it doesn't matter what you sell. I mean, we've got we have a seller in HAA who sells bunny poop manure for organic gardening. You know, if she can sell bunny poop, like, it's not, yes, that's a very small niche. You know what I mean? The strategy doesn't change because the algorithm doesn't treat you differently just because your niche is small. You know what I mean? It's all about finding the keywords that exist. What I can't do is make a keyword exist because your niche is so niche. Maybe you sell underwater basket weaving lovers t-shirts, you know? I can't create an audience for you. But if you know that there's an audience for your product, then, you know, what we can do in HAA is help to expand out your marketing as well so that you're not just relying on Etsy SEO, which obviously if you're in a niche, you're not going to have floods of traffic. We can help you to create other sources of traffic because we have internal traffic, that's Etsy SEO, people who are internally searching on Etsy. We have external traffic, so that's social media marketing and, you know, anywhere else that you're marketing your brand, which we cover in HAA. And you have direct traffic. That's going to be email list marketing. So people who you are sending directly to your Etsy shop through that direct contact. And we cover how to do all of that legally as well, step by step. So yeah, to answer your question, I hope that I lost the question somewhere in there, but I hope that
to do that. It's okay.
I know. I hope that I hope it answers it and more.
Would you ever consider diving into fair wholesale content?
I've never done it.
It's not really our ball game. We like to stay on things that we know about. However, marketing, advertising, social psychology, all of that stuff is still the same regardless. Again, we have one guy who used to sell mugs who now sells
DoD contracts.
Yeah, he sells DoD contracts using the information that he learned. So if you've got the brain for it, you can adapt it and sell anything.
Yeah, what I'm not comfortable with is teaching you guys something that I've never done, which is like even with Go Imagine, I'm not going to start teaching it until I can set up my shop. That's why I'm letting John, you know, the CEO, I figure that he can speak better than I can on it. But I won't cover something that I can't speak from experience because why would you guys want to learn from me about that? There's probably some other expert out there. So we'll see, but I don't have a wholesale handmade item that I can sell on Fair. So
once you buy into the membership, is it something you have to resubscribe to? Nope. You can either pay the one-time payment or you can pay the 6 monthly payments and have it cut off, whatever you want to do, and that's pretty much it. It's for the life of us. So.
You're buying imagine it like a physical thing that you're buying. You can either buy it all up front or you can pay it off in 6 installments. But after that, you're done.
Yep.
You don't have to keep paying for it.
I believe once you pay for something, you own that thing.
Yeah.
You are entitled to the course until you give me a reason to remove you.
Yeah.
I mean, really, that's it. And I've only had to do that to one person.
Who's tried to steal it.
Oh, so 2 then.
Oh, yeah, the person who tried to redistribute it illegally.
Okay, 3 then.
The other one who tried to redistribute it illegally in Spanish.
4 then.
Oh, was that a different one?
Yeah, you keep reminding me of more people. However, those were people who were
right, they were breaking the law.
Felony level stuff.
We don't do it often.
No, we don't do it often. And as long as you're not like trying to scam me, you're totally cool. Not only do you not have to continue, you also get our yearly boot camp for free on top of everything else that we do.
Oh my God, I was looking for another coaching program. It was $3,000 and only for 4 months. Or $3,000 if it was like one-on-one and they were like waking up every morning and making coffee and
giving you a phone call like, you up, bae?
Right.
You working on that shop?
I understand that. That's also the other, like when I talk about don't ever take a course that doesn't offer at least a 2-week refund guarantee. We offer 30 days. You've got a full 30 days you could, look at the whole program. It's not like you get to a point and it unlocks more of it. You get all of it, but we give 30 days. The only way that I would ever recommend a program that doesn't have a refund guarantee is if it's live. So for example, I think that what Christina only for the light challenge, it's only $37 and she does give refunds.
Yeah.
But once it starts and she's actually in there with you, like doing the live streams and dedicating her hours and hours and hours of time, that's different because you've paid for their time. You know what I mean?
It's the same thing as the boot camp. We only have the boot camp available until January 1st, and then I cut off.
Yeah, because it's a daily thing. It's a daily action. Right.
Mark, you need a spreadsheet to track them. Nah, the one that was doing it in Spanish, she ended up taking the content down that she had stolen.
Because we told her to. The other one we had to get with the FBI.
Oh yeah, all the other ones are sitting on a desk at the FBI. I don't play that game. I just report them to the ICE immediately.
Yeah.
What Call of Duty games are you playing again? I don't remember the ones. Pretty much all of them. I don't play them much anymore now that they've been doing their weird marketing campaigns, adding every TV show and anime under the sun to it. But Black Ops 6 looks promising.
Alicia, you absolutely can't purchase and review your own products. That's called shilling. You can't do that in any business.
That's not just against Etsy's rules. That's against the law.
Yeah, that's called shilling.
Well, we love you guys. I think we're done.
I think that's it.
I think that's all the questions that we have here. If you guys have any more HA questions, we'll be back again next week.
Well, John will be
hang
here
out.
next week, so I don't want to.
At the end of it, he won't be here for the whole thing.
Really? He might.
Oh, he might. Yeah, I guess you're right. We're tired.
We are. I've got to
sleepy.
record still. Thanks for
dog is
hanging
out.
out, guys. Watch on Tuesday if you're curious about Go Imagine and that, big long meeting that I had with their CEO. I'll be covering everything that I learned in that meeting on Tuesday. And that should game you up and give you lots of questions. Write them down and save them for Friday because we'll hang out with John and you guys can ask him whatever the heck you want. Just be nice, be respectful. He's a cool guy. We don't want to scare him away. And then Handmade Alpha Academy will be open from June 14th through the 24th. That's not when the program takes place. It's all pre-recorded and self-paced. You can start it whenever you want. If for any reason you can't start till, July or something, that's totally fine. We just keep that 10-day window because it's just Mark and I. We can't keep it open all the time. I hear that all the time where people are like, well, you could make so much more money. I'm like, well, sometimes it's not about the money. I wouldn't be a good coach if I couldn't actually offer the support for all the people. And if we left it open for longer, we'd have more people than what we could support. So to me, it's better to keep it small and intimate. That way I can actually be the coach that I advertise myself as being, which is somebody who cares for you and tries to offer that, level of support, which is why we have so many people who have already joined the program in the chat hanging out with us. So guys, thanks so much for hanging out. We appreciate you. And I think that I think that was it.
I think that's it.
What was the person he was thinking about?
I'm not disclosing.
Oh yeah. Some of the cases are weird.
We had one person that was just kind of rude.
Yeah.
That's it.
Did you see the dumpster fire image No, I haven't been in there today yet.
All right. We love you guys. We will see you next week.
Bye.
Bye-bye.